I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 79, Self-Soothing. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hi, friends. How are you all doing? I am hoping that my baby girl takes her nap right now. I'm hoping she stays asleep while I get this recorded. She's not a great napper so far. She's pretty good at nighttime, but not a great napper during the day. So we're working on that. Anyway, I want to start off this episode by going over a little bit what we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, because this episode and the next one all kind of go together towards the episode that I did about holding on to yourself. Okay. I want to ask if you've been practicing holding on to yourself. I have been. I've been practicing it. I've been trying to get stronger in my ability to stay with myself. And it feels really amazing, actually. One thing that I've been trying to do that I want to give to you is when I feel an urge to respond in a certain way to something somebody says or does, I check in with myself of what age do I feel when I want to respond in that way. If I feel like 13 or even younger, it's a good indication that I am letting go of myself. It's a good indication that I'm not operating from my highest self. And there might be things in there to listen to in ourselves, to learn from, that are maybe unhealed, but not a great way to respond from, not a great way to have a conversation if you are feeling really young, right? Because when we're trying to change our lives and show up in a really strong way, we want to show up as adults. That's working from that highest part of our brain, right? Our prefrontal cortex, okay? The other episode I did was high desire, low desire. I hope that you all found that helpful. And then today we are going to be talking about self-soothing. Now, this episode ties into the one I'm going to be doing next week on self-confrontation. I'm doing it in that order because we need to know how to self-soothe before we step into the work of self-confrontation. We need to know how to stay with ourselves. It's just going deeper on staying with yourself. We need to know how to do that. Okay. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And then next week is all about confronting ourselves. And I know that it sounds scary, and it is not for the faint of heart. And many people never do. For many people, they make everything other people's fault, but that's not what we're doing here, right? And so that's what we'll be diving into. But today is all about self-soothing. So basically, what self-soothing is exactly what it sounds like. It's the ability to calm yourself. David Schnarch, the therapist you hear me talk about a lot, says that it is modulating your own anxiety and not taking on your partner's or anyone else's. The more partners can regulate their own anxiety and hold on to themselves, the more stable their relationship becomes and the less they have to control each other. So, as you know, I had a baby recently, right? She is now 3 months old. She's delightful. Oh, how I love her. She's so sweet. And it's really remarkable to see that she's only 3 months old and she already has grown in her capacity to self-soothe. She already can, if she's starting to want to suck on something, she has found her hands and she'll suck on her hands. She makes cute sounds when she's kind of bored and just will listen to her voice. She likes to listen to herself. She will kind of talk to herself. If she's dozing off, I can always tell when she's like talking to herself to fall asleep because it's in a certain kind of way and it's adorable. This is self-soothing. At 3 months old, she's learning how to self-soothe. And I'm not talking about the cry it out type methodology of letting your kid cry it out, letting them self-soothe. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about naturally letting nature work and learning how to use the built-in things that she already has to calm herself. It's really cool to see. So when do we need to self-soothe? Schnarch says whenever something challenges our identity, worldview, and relationship. Now, part of why infidelity can be so difficult is because it challenges all of those things: our identity, our worldview, and our relationship, all of them. Okay, our identity. First of all, it challenges our identity because we thought that things were one way and they are not. A lot of why infidelity hurts so bad and is so hard is because there are things maybe that we didn't want to see about ourselves, about our relationship, that now suddenly we have to look at. It can be really tough, right? We can think that things are a certain way in our relationship, and suddenly we find out that they're not. Our worldview can be different because we have ideas about what spouses should and shouldn't do. And if spouses can do this, then what else? What else can happen? What else am I wrong about? Right? And certainly our relationship is challenged with infidelity. Ultimately, whether you stay or leave, growing in your self-soothing capacity will help you become more differentiated. Now, if you want a reminder of what that means, go back to episode 69. Okay, differentiation is basically you establishing yourself as an individual with your own ideas, with your own preferences, with your own likes and dislikes, instead of seeing ourselves in reference to what other people think we are or should be. Okay. Schnarch says that only extreme circumstances are sufficient to provoke the personal metamorphosis that is part and parcel of differentiation. That is the gift of infidelity. Okay. It rocks our world so much and gives us an opportunity to grow into the person we want to be very intentionally rather than just getting by. So, what happens when we lack the skill of self soothing? An example I thought of is of toddlers. What if there's a toddler that needs so much soothing to get them down to sleep? The toddler that needs 10 books, 5 songs, water, another several books, it's exhausting. It's so exhausting. And at the time, it may seem loving. It may seem like, but look at me. This kid needs me. It may seem loving, but in the end, it's actually really draining on that relationship, not just on the parent. It's draining on the relationship because the parent is exhausted and has less to give to the child, and the child is not learning how to self-soothe. And sometimes we act like toddlers in our relationships. We might want so much validation and assurance, not insurance. We might need so much soothing from somebody other than ourselves. We might need constant reminders that we're loved, that we're cared for, and it can exhaust our marriage. Now, we usually do this to shield ourselves from our own intense anxiety and insecurity. Okay. But it still leaves us feeling very dependent on that person and putting a lot of strain on the marriage system. It's putting, just like that relationship with the toddler and the parent, it puts strain on that relationship. So, to be clear, it is appropriate and healthy at times to ask for help from your spouse to reduce anxiety. Normal, appropriate. But depending too much on this, so you don't have to do the essential work of learning to self-soothe, puts too much of a strain on the marriage. It adds stress to the marriage rather than relieving it. So when really hard, stress-producing things happen, like a death, a move, a new job, a remodel, some really big difficulty with the child, etc., the relationship is already strained, so there isn't a whole lot of flexibility. The marriage is already sapped of its resources. So when you add on those stresses and the person who is giving you all of the things that you're asking for, like giving you so much soothing to calm your anxiety, if something really stressful comes up that is sapping them of their ability to do it, where does that leave you, right? Now that leaves you in a spot where you might feel completely dependent on them and not getting what you think that you need from them, and in a pretty bad spot, right? So Now you know, I hope, the importance of self-soothing. Now, what are some symptoms of a relationship where there isn't a lot of self-soothing going on? Here's one: fighting. With fighting, what happens is the anxieties get too high in each individual and it spills over into exchanges with the partner. Now, all marriages go through times that try how well you handle your own anxiety. All marriages do this. Marriage is quite the grounds to grow. Okay. All marriages are given an opportunity to grow in this way. Now, remember this: our lower brains are like reptile brains. So, when that higher brain is offline and we're operating from our lower brain, it's the reptile brain. So, when we start operating from this place, which is basically what we're doing when we're completely flooded with anxiety or another strong emotion and can't get ourselves back down, can't self soothe, the reptile brain has taken over. And what a reptile brain wants to do is protect itself at all cost. So it makes sense that fighting is what happens in that space, becoming combative, becoming defensive, right? It's just the reptile brain taking over. It's not actually helping though, right? Okay, so how do you self soothe? Number one, stop seeing yourself as wounded. I'm going to say it again. Stop seeing yourself as wounded. You have just been taught some faulty programming. Okay, you're not wounded. You've just maybe been given some faulty programming. For example, all the time you hear in like couples therapy and things like that about the importance of mirroring back what your partner's saying to you and the importance of validation and validating your partner. And I do think that there's space for that. But when we're not taught how to validate ourselves, it still is a dependent relationship. We're still dependent on that person to validate us. Okay. That creates a sense of self that is very dependent on outside sources rather than a solid sense of who you are. Okay. So if you've been taught some of those things that are very prevalent still, right? They're everywhere. It can create in you this thought or this belief that our partners are responsible for helping us to soothe. And if they're not doing it, then there's something wrong. We humans are much, much more resilient than we think we are. We are so resilient. Every single thing that you've ever heard me teach on here, every single thing, even if it was hard to hear, it is an awareness tool. It is not an excuse to not learn how to self-soothe, and it's not meant to use to beat yourself up. And it doesn't give us a reason to go around this work, right? It's not an excuse to get us not doing this work. So, for example, attachment theory, that's an episode I did a long time ago. Let's say that your attachment style is avoidant, okay? And you know that about yourself. If you notice yourself in relationships running away when things get hot, you could say, well, that's just my avoidant self coming out. I'm just wounded. I'm just broken. I'm avoidant. No, it's information to know that that is your go-to. It's just good to know. Okay. It's an awareness tool, but you can overcome that. Okay. You can go, yeah, this is my go-to, and I'm learning to show up in a different way for myself. I'm not going to run away from this. I'm going to feel this discomfort and sit here in it. Okay. It's that wounded thought process that says, I'm just broken. I have to run away. Okay. You're not broken, my friends. You've just been taught some faulty programming. We really are created to be resilient. If you think about the people that you look up to most, I bet you they all had hard things happen, every one of them, and they learned how to overcome them. They persevered. We are made to be resilient. You are made to be resilient. You are not wounded. You are not broken. Okay. Number two, normalize your experience. Our brain wants to catastrophize everything, make it all horrible, make it all bad. I'm the only one. Okay. So, for example, if you are feeling like out of touch or out of sync with your partner, not in tune, like the infidelity has happened, you're working on it for, this is just an example of what could happen. Okay. You're working on it, but you're feeling out of touch. You're feeling like you're offline, okay, with your partner, out of sync. Your brain is going to freak out and tell you that this is a problem and that it's not going to work. Clearly, this is not going to work. Some very dramatic conclusion. Okay. I want you to remember that those times that you're not quite in sync actually are a gift. You know why? Because they give you time to get to know yourself and what soothes you. You get to find out what calms you. One of the things I want you to practice is just thinking, we're out of sync right now and it's okay. Instead of spending time worrying about what's wrong with your spouse and what are they thinking? Why is he being distant? Maybe he wants to leave. I want you to get back in your own head and use it as an opportunity to grow. Let them take care of themselves. Let them parent themselves, okay? Let them be the adult and take care of their own brain. You take care of you. Use it as a time to grow yourself, and you can trust that you will come back together. Okay. Number 3, understand that whatever your partner's behavior or his own lack of change has nothing to do with you and has everything to do with his level of maturity and growth. You can show up really strong and they can back off, they can hide, they can do whatever they're going to do, okay? Depending on how much they're willing to grow, how much they're willing to self-confront, how much they're willing to learn to self-soothe, okay? If you want to be the strongest player towards change, you've got to keep that higher brain online. Okay, so practice breathing, practice deep breaths that slow your mind. See this again as an opportunity to become less dependent on a certain response from him. Try to keep yourself with yourself and not worrying about what he's doing. He's going to do what he's going to do. Okay. And you get to do what you do. Trust that it's about him, not about you. Number 4, Dr. Schnarch says this: if you can't regulate your emotion, control your behavior. Okay. There will be times where your emotion will feel really intense. Normal, okay. When you have those times where you can't quite regulate your emotion, try to control your behavior. Here's why. Because it's too easy to let our emotions take over and say things we didn't want to say things we didn't mean to say, and actually make life a lot harder for ourselves than it needs to be. Make new things to repair, right? In that moment, even if you feel a really strong emotion, try to keep some kind of perspective about how saying this thing you feel that you probably shouldn't say may end up hurting, may end up not being worth it for you. Okay. If it's still something that you need to say that's really important, you'll still feel like you need to say it when your emotion is not super high. It'll still be there and available to you. Number 5, give yourself permission to break contact. Step away until you feel more calm. Now, when you're expressing this, let's say that you're in the middle of a conversation and you start to feel that super strong emotion come, whatever it is, and you feel like you're kind of losing yourself a little bit. Give yourself permission to step away. Now, make it clear, though, that this is for your own self-repair and not withdrawing, okay? This is not doing the thing where we just disappear, okay? We're not trying to punish. We are not stonewalling. This is for self-repair. And so communicate that. You can communicate a time to reconnect. And this demonstrates good intent to your partner, okay? While separated, take really good care of yourself. Do the things that help you to calm. Exercise, eat really healthy food, work out. I already said exercise, huh? Get together with friends that help you feel good, that are uplifting to you. Whatever it is that helps you to calm, do those things, okay? Now, I want to remind you that self-soothing does not involve binging on food or Netflix or regressing emotionally or bad-mouthing our partners, okay? Those are not things that are going to help you to be calm and go back to that conversation able to really stay with yourself, okay? Number 6, trust the process. Trust that you are in the messy middle and it's going to be a bit messy and clumsy, and it's okay. The work of learning how to self-soothe sets you up for being able to powerfully self-confront. And as you'll learn in next week's episode, self-confronting is how you will ultimately get exactly what you want. If we can identify what we're doing that is contributing to our own pain, guess who gets to solve for it? We do. We give away too often our ability to change our own circumstances if we don't learn how to do this self-confronting. Okay, can't wait to dive into that with you. But ultimately, self-soothing is vital to growing relationships. It's vital for growing up relationships, maturing past where you are into a more mature relationship. It's really, really important. I also want to point out that self-soothing is a lifelong pursuit. We are not ever going to arrive one day and say, I am perfect at self-soothing. It just won't happen because we're flawed, because sometimes we will have circumstances present themselves to us that we will not feel prepared for. And then we have an opportunity to grow some more. It's really a beautiful thing, even if we don't love it when we're in it, right? We're always being given invitations to grow. Okay, that is self-soothing. I hope that you learned something from this today. I want you to go practice it. Find the ways that you can self-soothe, okay? I'm doing the same work. I'm continuing to grow in my own way, learning how to self-soothe, learning how to tolerate discomfort, learning how to bring myself down instead of giving that responsibility to somebody else. And you know what? I really love the person that is showing up. She's really strong. She's really powerful. So are you. So are you. Okay? So much love to you. And I will see you next week. And we're going to talk about self-confronting. One more quick thing is very soon, I'm going to be sharing all the things that you need to know about joining my group program that is coming out. It's going to start in April, and I have a limited amount of spots, and I can't wait to get that rolling. If you want more information about that, go get on my email list. Just go to andreagiles.com. And in there, there's an offer in there where you can get on my email list. You'll get a freebie, a free offering that I give, and you'll also get on my email list, which will inform you all the things you need to know about my group coaching, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be really good. Okay, my friends, take care. I will see you next time. All right, bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at andreagiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's andreagiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.